The Omniologists Collective is a public forum group aimed at curating communication, perspectives, and progress. Recorded at our studio in Montclair, New Jersey, we're focused on bringing the local community together to discuss topics that are important to us. You can access our group and live streams through Facebook at facebook.com/groups/Omniologistscollective.
Welcome back to the Omniologists Collective. This is episode 4. Thank you. I want to give a shout out. Thank you, Lex, for being the person to reach out to me and say, what are we doing? Can you do this?
Dude.
Because I was getting caught up in my stuff, as I'm sure everybody else does. And it was nice to know that people actually want to come together and still talk and have a good time together.
We gotta keep this going.
It means a lot to me. So I don't know if you guys want to go around again, because it's been some time, and just maybe say your name and I don't know, just maybe something about why you're here or anything you want to tell the world. So we'll start with the newbies first.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Newbies first. So we're going to start this side.
Sweet. Hello, I am Jordan Galliano. I live in Ponce Plains, New Jersey. I'm 24 years old, and I'm here to have an enlightened conversation and talk about community and engagement and see what we have to talk about. Thanks for having me.
My name is Lex. I'm here just to discuss ideas with people, get out of my comfort zone, and just be around people I'm not normally around.
Nice. My name's Kevin, and I like exploring the hidden and the unknown.
My name is Chris, and I also like to explore the unusual and hopes to discover more truth. That was my intention of following you up. That was really good. I'm really interested in music and philosophy and language and communication in general, because I think the way we communicate has a lot to do with the things we experience. So that's why a situation like this is definitely why I'm here. You know, communicating in a deep level in two mediums, here in reality and out there, wherever that is.
Yeah, right? Maybe it's all a simulation. And my name is Barbara, and that's exactly why I'm here, to understand whether or not we're in the simulation. If you guys are enjoying your experience.
Yes.
But yeah, I like Lex, I want to get out of my comfort zone, and I also think that one of the things that we're still allowed to do, at least here, is to have, conversations with people with different experiences and be able to come up with new ideas and maybe foster some stuff in the real world from that. So, again, thank you for joining us. All right, so I have some talking points, but I know that I'm sure we'll talk about whatever as time goes on. By the way, I have this cool chakra shit playing in the background. It's apparently the F-sharp frequency heart chakra, so maybe it'll open your senses a little bit. I won't put it too high though. Alright, maybe down a little bit more. Okay, so obviously our friends Jordan and Lex, I think that both of you guys have taken your own passions for things that you love to do in life and have turned it into your actual endeavors and how you spend your time on this, plane of existence, which I think is awesome because so many people get caught up in other narratives and what other people tell them to how to spend their lives. I know that I encounter a lot of older people that will either come into the studio to want to paint or something and tell me that it's just now that they're discovering this. So I think it's great knowing people that have taken what they love to do and just go with it regardless, which I feel like all of us kind of do. So maybe we can talk about that kind of idea of the individual within society and how we've used our own selves to, put out into that kind of way, which might lead into our ideas of personal philosophy and autonomy, establishing your own ethic and way to live in your own kind of, manner. And then at the end, maybe free will. At the end of the day, is it for the society at large? Is it just for us as individuals? Are we truly selfish beings doing this out of selfishness? Or do we truly love what we do? And maybe that will lead to what to do from there, such as how do we turn society into that kind of manifestation of those dreams. So, if anybody wants to start shouting out stuff. Maybe your own experiences with what you've been doing in your life right now. Have to do with that.
I guess I'll start.
Yeah, okay.
What I do, I'm a co-owner and operator of a 501c3 nonprofit. I'm trying to get a skate park built in my hometown. So what we're doing is educating, informing, and enabling the youth in my community to understand action sports, whether it's skateboarding, BMX, scooters, rollerblades, because in this day and age, everybody's kind of super glued into their phones and devices and social media and stuff like that a lot of people kind of lose a sense of the world around them because there's not a lot of personal connections being made. Nobody's really communicating one-on-one and having FaceTime with people. When I was growing up skateboarding, like, you would just meet people at skate parks or skating down the street, and I feel like nowadays it's a matter of who are you following on Instagram? Like, what's the biggest trend that's going on, and how can you be associated with that? So our philosophy is to enable the youth to be active in their community and see what's going on and make a positive change and show that, at least when I was growing up, when I was a skateboarder, I was like violently hated for being a skateboarder, which is like ridiculous because, everybody has their own niche and like what they want to do. Like, I played sports, and even when I played sports, I was getting made fun of for being a skateboarder, and that didn't help me become an athlete, and it just made me want to skateboard more, because it kind of pushed me away from that group and wanted me to be my own individual and find myself and do what I want to do. So I've been trying to get this project going for the past 3 years. 3 years as of August of 2015. And slowly but surely we're making some headway, and I'm confident there's some really good things going on lately, and I'm just going straight ahead. I'm super inspired to keep going, so.
Nice. Yeah, I usually tell I call my friends. I tell my friends that you're like the Leslie Knope. I'm like, oh, my friend Jordan, he's like the Leslie Knope at the skate park. But yeah, I think that's really important. What you're saying about getting people to find not new means, but reconnecting how they communicate with one another. Because I work in schools too, and I see how kids don't communicate even when they're in the same room together. Even to just do a group project, they don't want to work together because I think they're trying. It's too competitive, which I think the internet is teaching them to be beyond anything else. Is fight for your survival on the internet, your worth in this weird internet thing. Just compete always. That's the only way you're going to be successful. So, and getting them outside too, obviously.
Huge.
It's almost a paradox that's happening, I'm noticing.
Yeah.
Because I see positive and negative almost starting to happen. Like, your generation is making this tremendous progress that previous generations weren't making, and then all of a sudden, somehow the internet kind of squelches it. But when I was in the 80s, for some reason, skateboarding was like a white male sport. It was, and the white males who did it looked kind of like Michael J. Fox. It's like they were all kind of like from Back to the Future. It's like they're, and then with your generation, I actually started seeing women, Hispanics, African Americans skateboarding. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
10 years ago, and I don't know what happened, because 10 years ago, the millennium generation was seen as this multicultural, colorblind, they were like, they had done so much that the previous generations hadn't done. They were coming together, they were the most diverse generation of all time. And it only seems to be that this darker side of the millennial generation with the internet and with some of the things going on with the alt-right and everything, and that's not just the millennials, that's also my generation and older people, seems to have been coming out in this decade. But I didn't see it in the 2000s. In the 2000s, we kind of looked up to you guys as the generation who fixed some of the problems we weren't able to. And something happened when everybody, not just the millennials, but so many people are just, instead of seeing their friends, will go on Facebook or go on Instagram and just sit in their living room and talk. But then they're not out there in the world. And so this technology kind of grabbed victory out of the jaws of defeat. Like, we were on the road of just about to really accomplish some amazing
that
things.
happened.
Yeah.
We realized we were getting a little
We
smarter.
were making progress. You guys were making progress in the 2000s.
Yeah, it was subverted.
I disagree. Because of the internet, people like me are able to get out of what 10 or 20 years ago would not have been possible. The only reason I do well is because of the internet. Most people are consumers, whether it's your generation or mine. There's always going to be that 85% regardless. what you want to be. There was ambitious people in the 60s, 70s, whatever. Now they're ambitious people the same way. I'm taking advantage of the internet. I like competition. I think people don't want to compete. That's fine. I have my own philosophy, my own ethics, my own code. But when it comes to business, it's such an open field that whoever's not doing it, I mean, it's hard to feel sorry for somebody who's not ambitious. It's not really my problem. I can try to help them, but because of this internet, I'm able to make these moves. I don't have a college education. I don't have this or that. But I can make a lot of money online compared to people who should be making more than me. So I don't care really what generation it is. There's always going to be that percentage of who's going to fall behind, who's going to follow, consume, and those who are going to create and really put something on the table. Because if not, really, it's just, I don't feel sorry for it no more.
And what do you do? If you don't mind me asking.
I've been involved in various businesses. Right now, I actually created these on my books, which I'll show you guys right now real quick.
Go for it.
So basically, I just have things like coloring books. For cars. This is a collaboration with a Brazilian artist.
Cool.
And this is my baby right here. I actually wrote this. It took almost 3 years. Just straight information.
Yeah, show
First
the,
page
show
is the
camera.
Supra. I dig that. That's really cool. Beautiful.
This is cool.
Well, the point is, you could do whatever. You could be whatever good at.
Oh yeah.
Skateboarding, cars, and you can make this. I make good money, selling these online to Europe, Australia. More money internationally than people.
What about the Japanese market? I'm sure this is like huge, like JDM stuff.
Actually, I haven't even advertised to Japan yet.
Can I show the
And this is so
camera?
cool. It's like super, like simple, nice, like Adobe illustrations. That
We actually had someone draw it.
Oh, really?
And I scanned it in, and then I actually
is like
cleaned it up a little
potential
bit. That's why they're not perfect.
I
No,
know.
I like it like
Comic
that.
book
Like
artist.
very,
Yeah.
like super cool.
Yeah, actually, I had these drawings done like 2-3 years ago. I paid up front. That's the thing with business and talking about this is that too many people think you just see a coloring book here. It took me a lot. I don't even look at it no more because honestly, it gets me a little
You see
annoyed.
it so much.
Yeah, dude. Oh, I know.
No, but this is like
You ever
a
think
huge
of doing
market
comics?
nowadays.
I mean, this is like.
Well, a lot of people tell me all these ideas. I can't even find artists that quick enough. But the point is, I know the market very well. This is just what I've been doing for a long time.
Yeah.
I can create stuff and sell it to them. I mean, this is a good product overall, so I don't feel scummy or salesy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to sell
Yeah.
snake oil,
Yeah.
some weak supplements, but
No.
It's just-
supplements.
yeah, it's the generation thing. A lot of people are just not ambitious. I mean, you can sell whatever. You can go sell drugs on the corner, or you can just sell a book. I make more money with this than do anything else. So I know 15-year-olds I'm in competition with, making way more money than all of
There's
us.
a new
combined.
generation of
Yeah.
entrepreneurs that
Yeah.
never
That's
had that
important, yeah.
that potential because you don't have to climb the corporate ladder anymore with the internet.
I was talking with my mom recently about how young women or young girls, I'm talking like when I was 13, 14, I didn't even have a job yet, and right now they're living in LA like supporting their parents on making YouTube videos,
Yeah.
Because then a lot of people can be like, oh, how can you let your kid do that? But you're like, then again, your kid's paying for, I'm sure,
Yeah.
everything for you at that
Yeah.
point. But it is a new generation of business.
Yeah, it's able to
Yeah.
cut past that. Your father doesn't have to be wealthy anymore for you to make it with this new online capitalism. That's what I like about it. It's not, you don't have to be poor just because your grandparents and your but there's so much of that still out there. 66% of people
Yeah.
whose family was poor when they were born stay poor their entire lives. This seems to be the new entrepreneurs, but really grow enough
Yeah.
where it makes a difference. But what I was going to, piggyback off of what he's saying is, look at what we're doing here. None of us would be here if it wasn't for meeting you on Facebook, right? So this started off online,
Yeah,
and
I
then
bet
it
you guys
became
make friends
this.
on Facebook. It's
Yeah.
so strange.
And then some meat locker shows. Yeah.
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 So it's like, if more people did this, let the internet be a stepping stone to the next stage, and when that's
Yeah.
done, like you've done, it can lead to great things. But I've seen other people where they'll be like, you know what, I don't need that. We don't need to hang out because I can just chat with you on Facebook for a few minutes. And now the whole weekend that would have been spent going out, the internet becomes a replacement. The internet can be a stepping stone. It doesn't have to be a
Yeah.
replacement for getting out and
You
doing
can have that
things.
duality.
Yeah.
I think it's great that we use the group to manifest our ideas, and then we meet in person.
Yeah, the meeting in person is the important part too.
It's about establishing that community. I think maybe the way you use the internet though is a lot different than how a lot of people use the internet. In a way.
Well, I've definitely used the internet in a way to make
Because you have a service.
Yeah.
You have a product. It's not just your worth is being defined by if people like your face.
I mean, it's complex because it's not like I go on Instagram just to sell to people. People are not going to buy my product just saying, oh, come buy it. I have to build this whole myth, this whole brand. And not just that, I have to understand advertising. I gotta understand how websites work, email, payments, all this stuff boiled into one, which makes it seem like I could just start a business right now on Instagram. I could start any business, a chip company right now. Most businesses fail because people are just not persistent, really.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 10 years, and I'm just now starting to see a little bit of sunshine now. But people are not really, no matter what age, what color, what race, what their hobbies are, there's just really not that much persistence out here.
It's all about the grind. How much you want it.
Well, that's the thing. You guys are like very passionate, and the same thing. Like I've been working really hard in my art, and my fine art, and my zine and stuff. But I realize that every day, the time I'm spending doing it, it's tiring. But at the end, I'm like, wow, I did all that stuff, but I love doing it.
Yeah.
Like I would be doing this on my day off, and I'm like monetizing it,
Yeah.
which is fine. But it's like
Because you're getting a product after it. Like
Yeah.
you're working so hard to aspire to something. You get that, and you see it, and like you take a lot of pride in your work.
Yeah.
Like my dad was a carpenter, and like I would work on the job with him, and you demo a whole space, you build it, and then you walk away from it at the end. And you're like, wow, we like did all of that work. It's the same thing as build it, like making a book and doing a zine and or building a skate park. It's all a matter of putting blood, sweat, and tears. And
The obstacles will come when you're just about to succeed.
Yep.
Those are almost like our tests.
Yep.
See, that's why I think
That's
the idea of the competition right now, though, is that not enough people are I don't think they have the broader concept of what is out there. I think the things they're competing for some reason, seem so limited to me. Like they're all fighting for the same small situations in life, whether it's being famous online, again, or like, I don't know, having that mansion on the hill that everybody wants. But I think that nobody's really developing their own success or their philosophy or their own idea of success.
I think that's what like our modern, at least when I was in high school and being taught that you have to go to college, you have to get a college degree, you have to make $100,000 a year. Like that put an enormous amount of strain on me, like growing up.
I've never heard that.
Really?
I've barely ever heard that.
Really? Well,
From different worlds,
Yeah.
Nice.
I wish I didn't have to hear.
to.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I was completely turned off by college and that. Like, I wanted to do my own thing and kind of find my own path. And I am on my own path right now, and I'm happy with where I'm going. And
Better than being in debt for like 30 years.
Yeah, and that's what I told my parents. I'm like, I don't want you guys to have to pay off my college degrees or payments, and I don't want to either. Like, I want to get ahead. I don't want to be in debt. I want to find some success and happiness.
What's interesting? Oh, go ahead.
I think we're all fighting for attention right now, whether it's starting, whatever it is on social media. I think not enough of us is fighting for solutions. The reason I say I like competition is because it's not that I want to eat your food, but if I have a product and you have a product, we do the same thing, and I think I can serve the customer better, I'm gonna try to wash whoever the competition is, because that's just my goal, is to make the better product. That's the competition I like. And I think too much people are not looking at the bigger picture. They think that you can just do, like for me, I was making t-shirts at like 16. I love making t-shirts, still do, but it made really no money. Sometimes it did, a little bit to break even, but that's not a living, because I didn't solve a problem. I mean, I have a lot of clothes, I could go buy clothes, everyone has a brand, but people who create a solution and build from there, those are the ones getting rich right now. Yeah, these are not just books. This is really, you can save $1,000 just by reading this. That solves a problem. It's just something that I was good at. But if I were to make a book on just anything, I mean, it's tough, 'cause I've been through so much failure that to make a product that I know is not solving a problem, I really feel like I'm wasting time. And if I want to do what I want to do, art-wise, I gotta really get this money, have an assistant that solves problems, get the money, and then I can go paint on the beach or something. But I think our generation got it flipped upside down, where we should do what makes us feel complete now, but be broke for the rest of our lives, or be okay, have a job, stuff like that. So I think it's flipped, where it should be make this money first and do what the fuck you want, but otherwise you're gonna be working forever.
See, in the art community right now, I feel the same way about like what I would consider like hype art. Like a lot of artists are making on like Etsy and stuff. Like they're all making the same stuff.
It like washes out all the other different
same stuff, and it's like so boring. And I don't see a lot of art that doesn't try to just advertise the artist themselves and not maybe the concepts that their art's about, or like the bigger picture, like you're saying. I'm always trying to find that, so it's difficult.
You're also seeing all the competition, more of the competition. Pre-online, you would see a piece of work and be like, how rare is this? Baseball cards, some of them used to go in the thousands. before they found out how many of the duplicates were actually out there through the internet. So now you're realizing there's a lot more similarity. There's a lot, I'm not saying identical, but a lot more similarity because there's millions of people online.
Yeah.
Someone you wouldn't have even met before, now you'll be able to see their product 3,000 miles away. But what it's doing is it's creating kind of a new entrepreneur because there's so much competition. They're developing now landing pages where they're giving away free information to get you to put your email address down, and you build up a relationship with them, and then people are buying the product after there's a relationship. Because you can't just say, I'll give you this if you give me $50 anymore, because someone will just Google something else and they can get it for free.
Yeah.
So now it's about give away, help people first, prove yourself first, then develop a relationship with them. Now you've shown that you're trustworthy. Now you've shown that you have some good ideas, and now they're going to buy from you because now they know what you're really about.
Yeah.
That's what I do. That's just the first part of the whole equation. I was doing the same thing for one of these coloring books. I was doing free, just pay shipping. That's how I got hot in Australia and Europe. But it wasn't just pay like for international. I was doing $14.95, and it cost me like $12 realistically with shipping and everything. I'd be like, are you sure you don't want to include this and this since I'm already shipping that? The profit came in afterwards once they're already ready to buy. So the best time to get money is when their pocket is out. They're ready. Their wallet is ready. So that's how people are making money. That's how I made a lot of. I tripled, quadrupled up, saying I'll give you this for free. And most of the people say, you know what, let me just put more in, because if it's going to France or whatever, I might as well get more in one shot rather than Tennessee. They're just like, I'll just give you a free coloring book where I made like $1.
Right.
So that's the first half to the equation, and then going into where the money is. You know, it's just, you could give someone free, have a list of buyers, but then you realize that you only have $1 per guy.
Yeah.
But you might have a loyal customer for life.
It's long term. It's long term. So
It's repeat business too.
Can I throw a hypothetical out now?
Yes.
So if money was not in the equation, if for some reason we just never, right at this moment, money wasn't necessary, we're all okay, would you keep doing what you're doing right now in
That's
terms
the
of the
goal.
stuff that you're doing? Yeah.
Yeah, because you help someone else, they're going to help you. The energy flow is there. You know, if you send out positive vibes into the universe, help the universe, there's going to be a day when you get a flat tire and you need someone to help you. It'll come back.
Yeah, this sort of I've been thinking more so a couple minutes back still about the internet for us was how we communicated for the first time, millennials in general, because we learned how to be on the computer. We started communicating with each other, and that's why we were somewhat more let's say colorblind. And right now racism is being installed into our generation, more so than before, I think. Whereas people are born into racially diverse situations or whatever. But what I mean by racism is racism with the back narrative that a lot of other generations believe in. Whereas we as a generation maybe haven't been exposed to all those narratives before. So that's why it seems so dark and weird and strange, I think. But so same with money, and now with it's not necessarily the internet itself, but it's the technology which gets us onto the internet. There are people with great power who subvert some of our greatest actions amongst each other for their own profit or gain. The number one things that we do are trade, which is money. Money is there to subvert our own trade, how we trade, the value of the things we trade, which is something that we should be deciding for ourselves amongst each other, but instead we all agree to make it easier that we're just going to use money to decide the value of what we trade. Same with communicating now. Instead of having to trek over to Austria to go hang out with my buddy and try and sell him a coloring book, right now we have something where he just can say, yo, what's up, can you send me a coloring book? And that's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's and my take on all of this is, the reason why I want to talk about it is I want to know how to do the level up or move on to the next thing, and by doing that I have to really know the truth of what's going on. And what's going on is the medium in which we were communicating has now been subverted by all of the powers. You know what I mean? Not just weird dark internet people, not just weirdos with mental illness, not just other governments, but our government, and then rich people, and everyone's on the internet now, or they have access to it and use it now.
Well, the people who control things know that the path to least resistance tends to be, whatever is the easiest way to go. It's easier to just do something online than to actually meet in reality. But you get more benefit from meeting people in reality. What my perspective is, I remember a time when there were people that pre-internet, and this you might kind of agree with this because it's a positive take on it, where there were people that you wouldn't even talk to in real life, and then when the internet just came out, you finally could kind of talk to them, communicate with them, and potentially become friends. I mean, there were guys that were scared to death to ask out girls at bars, and then when MySpace came around, it became so much easier to do that because, but then you didn't have to have that willpower to go up and walk up to somebody. So I saw this starting to turn positive, making new friends, meeting new people.
Yeah.
And it could become a very positive thing, but then kind of just human laziness got it to the point where I'll just stay on the couch and talk to everybody on Facebook.
Yeah.
But you were starting to make friends you never would have made without the internet.
True.
So it was almost like these two juxtapositions, this positive thing and this negative thing, kind of came to an impasse.
Well, right now we see it as a necessary evil because we use it for everything.
Yeah. Now
There's a documentary on Netflix called something internet. I don't know. It's on Netflix. But yeah, it talks about if our internet just went away for like 24 hours, how many things would just like cease to like work, and how a lot of people would like suffer because of it.
Anxiety.
Some of these systems.
we
Yeah.
become so dependent on it.
Yeah, even like food and like the hospital, how many things are wired to the cloud,
Right.
I don't know. Personally, I think that's kind of like, I like hands-on stuff. I don't even I still write my notes down in a notebook. If my computer ever crashes, I have something there,
That makes
I don't
sense,
know.
yeah.
I don't trust the cloud 100%.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
But I am grateful for the friends I made through it. I agree. It is a necessary evil type of thing.
If you keep that mentality where
You
it's a
can abuse
stepping
it.
stone, it's the first step, and then it can lead to other things, I don't think you'll ever go wrong. It's when it becomes a replacement. I mean, I'll give you the perfect example. This guy, Sasha, we hadn't spoken in over 15 years, and then he found me on Facebook. Without Facebook, he never would have found me. And I said, let's hang out. He goes, all right, let's hang out and do something. But then we had a few conversations, and we found out about each other, found out where he went to school, where he lived, all the questions I would have asked him if I met, and then we never ended up hanging out. So without the Facebook, he never would have found me, I never would have found him. But because of the Facebook, we never got together.
Yeah.
So you see how it like works both ways.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
There's
almost.
a yin and yang.
Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I was just saying,
Oh.
there is a yin and yang to like
Yeah.
all things, for sure.
Like kind of like what you were saying about trying to like approach women or just make friends in public. I feel like there was an anxiety back then to put yourself out there and meet somebody and kind of make a connection.
You were
with
forced
somebody.
to.
Yeah,
No
you were like
choice.
forced to, no choice because there's no way around it.
Yeah.
But now you have the internet, so you can do that. But at the same time, too, a lot of people, like you were saying, like you were willing to make the approach to hang out and meet and catch up and everything. But then after you talked, you almost like some anxiety, and you're like, okay, kind of glad we didn't do that, So it's kind of like the old way of communication, kind of bringing its way into the more modern way of internet communication, saying like, hey, you know what, I might have second guess. Is that me? No, it's my fault.
What might bring it back is the falsity. What might swing the pendulum back in the other direction is the falsity. You meet somebody who claims that they're rich and they have everything going on, or you meet I'm not saying there's anything wrong with age, but my friend got online, this woman looked like she was 25, and then every week another picture would be slightly different, and then by the time 5 weeks passed, she was like 20 years older than the original picture. So like the falsity, someone pretending to be someone they're not online, and then you meet them in person, you found out they're not what they portrayed themselves to be, may swing it back to let's meet someone in real life.
No, I'm having that experience in my own life. I was someone who definitely generated a lot of income and like a lot of social capital from being on the internet. And after meeting a lot of the people who I was actually doing business with, I'm now like afraid of the internet. Whereas like I don't want to manifest the kind of personalities I met
You
ever
lose your
again.
privacy a little
You know what I
bit.
mean?
Yeah.
Well, no,
People
it's
are
just.
watching you.
It's just that I ended up working with people that I would actually never want to hang out with ever. know, and like in business, it's like as a business owner or as a person in general, you decide who you want to do business with if you like care about that or whatever. For me, it was like music, so it was personal and meaningful, and it was meant to be about who I did business with. But because I was so intoxicated by the success of having something so powerful as the internet, I started to communicate with so many people so fast that I didn't have time to make judgments over like psychological or personality judgments of people I was working with or doing things with. And then I was just surrounded by too many people that I just like I just didn't want to be around. And now now I have this weird anxiety because of that falsity that you're talking about. Like, you know, oh man, I could deem someone so cool by the internet page and their likes and like how much we have in common. But that is like so much is simulation or facade or whatever.
For show, yeah.
And like so our ability to communicate even on like a body language level is also like lost, where maybe if I had met some of these people in the first 20 minutes of meeting them in real life, I would know immediately not to hang out with them or whatever. But that, you know, that
But
doesn't
they
happen.
put up a front online, yeah.
And some people, some narcissistic people in particular, are good at putting on a front for long periods of time. you
Yeah.
know? And like, so and they have extreme power on the internet.
And that's just
Yeah. You
the
know.
personality that the internet caters to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Narcissism.
Oh, it does, yeah.
You know. So.
It's interesting because from talking with you guys, I just have this weird feeling that in 10 years, there's no one in this room that's going to have money problems anymore. Even if we do now, which I do now. But I feel like there's an entrepreneurship and there's an open-mindedness. I was reading a book that's a good trap not to fall in if you start making money. And the thing is, why? Why do you want to make money? It's not just to have bills with dead presidents on. There's like a feeling, like where do you want to live? What kind of car would you want to have? What would you want to do? And then the next why. Why would you want to go on vacation there? Why would you want to take a trip to that place? Why would you want to live in this area? Why would you want that car? And it always comes down to an emotion, like a certain way of feeling, which is a good path. But if you don't forget where you came from, if you become obsessed with money, you'll constantly be chasing that happiness. But if you know the why, there are ways to get that with being comfortable with money, but there are ways to get it without it too. Through spirituality, through meditation, through friendship. And if you don't forget that part of yourself, you won't lose your happiness on the road to chasing wealth.
Yeah, I call that will to power, right? When you have like a very strong image of what you're going after, right? Everything else is,
Doesn't matter,
just
it's in your
learning
way.
how to set up the payment thing to get to the thing at the end of the window.
Yeah.
Or like just having to make
It's all steps.
$100,000, so that you can be, Superman or whatever.
I used to think that I'll only be happy when I get here.
Yeah, no.
Then I'll be happy. And then I realized, even if I got there, if I got to my goal one
Right,
day,
and then what?
I'm in that mansion and I'm standing in there and I'm like, I finally made it. Do I want to look back on 40 years and go, okay, I'm finally happy now, but for the last 40 years I was miserable? So even stick with your goal, go for your goal, but be happy with the journey too. You want to be happy along the way. Because life is a journey, not just a destination. It can have a destination, but you want to enjoy the whole road there. And you'll get there faster if you do. If you're constantly sending out an energy level of, I'm not happy where I am, I want to be there, that want energy will sometimes keep you stuck in a constant state of lack.
I think that's why your skate park is such a great idea, because even when you achieve the skate park, it's the teaching of the behavior or of the activity to the kid or to the person that will carry on.
Yeah.
Even when you're not there.
Yeah.
It's instilling the.
It could pass on beyond your own mortality.
Mm-hmm.
Those kids won't forget that skate park when they're older.
Yeah.
And it's
They'll
the
pass
same
it on
thing
to
with
someone
sharing
else.
Exactly.
knowledge about something. Like, I have no idea about cars whatsoever. I can do simple stuff, but I think that passing on something more than just, like I was saying before, people that make hype art, I don't think there's any deeper caring value to some of those things, So as long as it's a lasting kind of concept or message to it, the why of it, yeah, it's very important.
I think the important thing too is the process, like the means to the end of like the drive that's in you to want to accomplish something, and then having that final product, like what I mentioned before, is that like you have the vision of creating a coloring book and having something that's different and unique to your competitor, and presenting it and selling it and making it something that is really desirable to the consumer. Or it's like the same thing with the skate park. Like no two skate parks are the same. So the need to make a unique and individual skate park is there for the community, that reflects on the community and the way that people want to participate in it. And my own shameful plug too with skateboarding, that there's so much life lessons that can go into it, like learning determination and actually learning how to physically fall and pick yourself up and repeat the same thing over and over again. And skateboarding, like, it welcomes failure. Like you have to embrace failure in order to get to success and to
there's no
film
way
it.
around.
There's no
like
cheating
snowboarding.
in it too.
There's no way around that falling.
Yeah, you can't cheat in skateboarding or in action sports, because the only way to accomplish it is you doing it and setting a goal and small goals along the way to get to your final goal. And whether it's building a skate park or filming for a full video part, it's the process of doing it and committing yourself to it and learning what you did right, what you did wrong, how can you approach things differently, and making connections with individuals along the way to say, all right, that worked, how can we do this in the future and make this bigger,
It's weird because you're getting people out of the house, and you mentioned solving a problem for the consumer. And in both cases, what are they both doing?
Right.
Getting people unstuck.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're solving there's a lot of people stuck out there that need solutions to problems that they can't figure out on their own. And there's a lot of people that are complacent, that are just shortcutting things with the technology. Good technology that's good intent online, but skipping things. You're getting them out of the house. You're solving a problem for them. And a lot of people hit these roadblocks where they are stuck, and not stuck just for years, sometimes for decades, sometimes for their entire lives. People are stuck.
And it's not even just like giving them what they want or the answer. It's like teaching them how to find it on their own or how to do it themselves. It's teaching, like, again, I bring it back to that autonomous, like, embodiment of, like, I don't think anybody needs somebody else to tell them what to do, simply to give them that, like, inspiration to, like, do it themselves in their own way.
To feel that they can.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are subordinated to believing that they can't do anything.
Yeah.
I don't know where that comes from. Well, I know, like, for me and for maybe some people, I know where it comes from. But why is it such a thing in mass? Or is it? Or it feels like it is.
Because you'd be too powerful as one collective working being.
Or too chaotic.
Yeah.
Or too chaotic of everyone trying to do this.
We'll never know because they'll never get the chance.
Think about how many of us have learned something from someone else, but then put our own spin on it.
Yeah.
Made it our own.
Inevitable.
Yeah.
I think that's inevitable.
You can learn, and that doesn't mean you're going to copy what your teacher taught you. You're going to put your own spin on it, your own talents on it, make it your own thing.
I think people are just afraid.
Yeah, fear is the thing. I agree.
Fear is the huge holdback.
Yeah, I do think a lot of people feel safety in being part of an already established
Yes.
group, and that there's so much fear that goes into, like, as much as our, like, society pushes, like, you're an individual and do it your own way, like, no one really does that unless they,
There's
like,
a lot of
need
criticism
to.
that comes with the social media too. Because information is readily accessible, and bad information too.
Mhm.
Like, there's so much bad information being talked about my project that people that come to the meetings don't even want to spread the correct information. They're just pushing their own narrative to derail someone else's progress and their passions for life, and it doesn't help the community. Like, if people are compassionate about community and engagement with one another's, then you would want to have an honest and open conversation with that person. But because of some people's closed-mindedness and their preconceived notions of certain groups of individuals, like skateboarding, like with Jackass and People of Bam, like, everybody thinks that every skateboarder is a drug addict or just destroys public property, but no, like, that's only a small minority of the vast majority of individuals that are compassionate and will help little kids learn tricks at the skate park and willing to clean up trash and stuff.
It's like a microcosm of our political situation in general, because it just there's like, where is the part where we're talking about like the truth of the matter,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And I think like it's very, in my opinion, it's like confusing to discern what the truth of the particular matter is right now, you know, because so many people are pushing their angle for the purpose of almost confusion.
Yep.
You know, or just whatever. Like, I think we brought this up in a conversation we had on this channel before.
Yeah.
This thing of like this pushing of like untruths to the point of making them into truths,
Mhm.
right? Like,
Well, it's creating
and
a
then
gray
making it
space.
confusing. What?
It's creating the gray space.
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
To distract and then hopefully keep you from actually doing the project.
and then from somewhere, some targeted area is being brought up as the truth, so that at the end it just comes out and you're like, yep, that's the truth all along. You're like, is it kind of like what's
Yeah.
the Berenstein Bears thing? Mandela?
Oh, yes.
Mandela
Yeah.
effect.
Yeah.
And one day you're just like, how, that was the truth? And you're like, yeah. And you're like, all the
Yeah.
media and everything showing you that was the truth all along. You know, somewhere amongst the chaos of the discussions going on in there, got lost in the sauce, so who knows? So you can't trust it all.
Yeah, it's like the past. They would like make it seem like the past was changed to fit the current narrative.
Yeah, or something like that.
It's just weird because, like, without getting too political, there was and this is more about like it's once someone's opinion is made, it's so hard to change it or get them to see reality. There was this huge issue with the previous president, with Obama, where there were people on the right that said the reason we don't like Obama is he's spending too much money, his personal money, on trips and doing all the stuff he was spending, and he was spending about $1 million a month. And then President Trump was spending $1,800,000, they said, and they interviewed like the same people, and suddenly there was no outrage anymore. Like they were angry at $1 million.
They already
But they
squeezed
were
it
not
out,
angry at $1,800,000. Well, that's $800,000 more, and I get it. Like, they were really angry at Obama playing golf. Look, I love Obama, but I didn't really think playing golf was one of his best attributes.
No.
But then when Trump was playing golf, suddenly the outrage just disappeared.
Yep.
Well, if that's why you're pissed,
Well,
It's
the
not
same
being
thing
promoted.
with
It's not
George
being promoted.
with George W. Bush. He spent I think it was with his ranch down in Texas. He spent literally a year out of his 8 years of his presidency at his ranch. in Texas.
on the vacation.
Yeah.
But then they were angry at Obama for getting. So my point is, in general, how do you change, and not even just political, but in any situation, if someone is telling you their problem is A, and then a different person does A, and they have no problem with it, then what is the real underlying problem? Because until we don't find out what the real underlying problem is, we'll never solve
I
it.
think that they strategically choose certain things to put out so that when it happens again, our reactions won't be as, much.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always thought that the internet is where things go to die. If you want something to die, you put it on the internet, have a bunch of random strangers who don't know a thing about it, have never met the person it's about, or been in the situation, or maybe they have been, but all of them just go together, a few days, maybe a week, you fight about it. I don't hear anything about Flint anymore, or Black Lives Matter anymore, or anything anymore, because it's been sucked dry by social media. It was their silent weapon of being
Standing
able to...
Rock.
Or Standing Rock, or any of that. And then it makes you wonder, was it actually true? Because it's like not an issue anymore. But it is an issue, but everyone thinks it isn't. Because you don't see it anymore. It's
The
like
problem
seeing
is
is
there's
believing
so many new
on the internet.
issues every week that we get. The old issue gets forgotten. Look, the president will bring up a new tweet,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's a bad tweet to get us to forget about the previous bad one. Like the one way I can get you to forget about something bad I did a week ago is to do something bad now.
See, that's the thing. It's like
That is,
it's almost comical.
If I tripped over myself a week ago, if I trip over myself now, you'll forget about last week and you'll know that I did it now.
It's just so petty. Everything to me is just very
I'm sorry.
insignificant. I think.
I feel like we're just yelling at a movie screen right now. Watching a new movie.
Sorry, I wasn't.
I used to keep up with politics. I really don't even care what's going on. There's no president who's going to stop somebody from being ambitious and creating a solution or whatever. It's all your business. I think I don't care what's going on with Trump. I don't care if he's impeached. I don't care if he gets reelected. It's not going to change it. I'm sure there's social issues, but those social issues can be quelled by people who care about advancing themselves. They'd rather argue about whatever we're talking about here
Exactly.
than to talk about the real problems. So I don't even care for politics anymore. I was
God bless you.
for a long time. whether it was history or current events, for the past 4 or 5 months, I don't care. It has nothing to do with me. Even if it affects people like me, most of the people who look like me or from the same background are not like me anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're fighting 2 different issues. I don't watch TV. I'm not yelling at a TV no more.
Right. Well,
A
wait,
lot of
but-
people are
And take care
tuning
of
out.
yourself. That's what it comes
Yeah.
down to.
So this is something that we talk about a lot, and it's like one thing that I find to be somewhat of a struggle is you find yourself an individual amongst the masses in that case, right? Often.
I don't even label things anymore or how I feel about what everyone's, their own. I don't know what you are, you know what I mean? I barely know what I am. Anyone who does,
Are we even supposed to?
yeah, so.
Yeah.
There's
So
nothing
when
saying we
talk
should know
about,
what
we're
we
not saying
are.
it's Trump or whatever. We're looking at the same thing, but I don't know what you are or what I am. I know it's not helping me, and if you're talking about it, I don't know how it's helping you. So it just doesn't make sense to me anymore. Nothing really makes sense to me anymore except me creating, what the purpose I want to do, the drive. No one has burning desire, so like on Facebook, I got a bunch of friends on there. I don't want to go see them all because I don't have the luxury of time for that. When I was young, even playing like these, for example, I used to skate when I was young, but now I can't afford that luxury because of what I seen growing up. And when I was younger, it was a multicultural thing. There was a lot. I never even met a white person until I started skating when I was like 14. Everyone else was black, Latino. And this is just what we did to escape. And yeah, we were using drugs, we were stealing shit. But that's just how the culture was. That's what made it cool. Now it's, everything's watered down, really.
Yeah.
Look at graffiti on Instagram, it's all watered down. We used to be on the street. Now everyone just wants the best parts of it without having gone through that. And I guess that's where we are at this point. So I don't care about, like I said, yelling at these movie screens. I've been there. I'm not watching a movie no more. Some people are still watching movies. I don't have the luxury of time for it. I don't know how they do it.
Well, my thing is, if we're in a loop and we realize we keep going through the same cycle over and over again, where I feel like the conversation will be constructive is the way to get out of off of the loop. Because I feel like if you don't realize
People love the loop.
you're in a trap, you're gonna
They're so comfortable.
be stuck in the trap.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That there are people who don't even realize they're in a trap, and then year after year after year after year, it's the constant arguing and arguing and arguing. And the first way to fix a problem is to identify that problem.
I don't think they're in a trap. I think they chose that.
Yeah.
They can choose to get out. It's not a trap unless they can't get out of it.
Yeah, but they're complaining about that they don't understand the other person, and the person doesn't understand them, and nobody's communicating anymore.
It's more divided than solution trying to.
Yeah,
find
it's
solutions.
constant arguing, and very few people say, "This is great. We're just arguing all the time."
Yeah.
You know, like they don't want to be. It's almost like they don't want to be arguing all the time, but they're stuck. We're stuck.
Like I've had friends, and I know people that literally like have told me. I mean, I understand this is like a part of that culture, but just like not continuing to be friends with people because they have different ideas than you.
Yeah.
Which to me is like
that's
so
happening.
unnatural.
Why are we not hanging out with people who have
That's
the
so
permission to
unnatural.
hang out?
Stop speaking
I
over
always
the
want to
completely.
understand where the other side comes from, and like there's certain people that I know. I don't know. It's just like so strange to me to like literally like keep your own experiences from growing.
Yeah.
Or like keeping yourself in this illusion of safety, or disillusion of you're gonna be safe.
It's because the
Nothing's
power
gonna
they
be-
feel in that hierarchical social structure. That's what I think.
It's also, we all have blind spots, right? I have a blind spot that you might not have. You haven't had an experience that I haven't had. So you're going to know things about the world that I don't know. I'm going to know certain things about the world that you guys don't know, being from a different generation. We're all going to learn so much more from each other because nobody has the full spectrum. But if we're constantly arguing with each other and not trying to see or hitting this impasse, that doesn't happen.
I think that's what's so great about this group is that I don't think I've ever experienced that sort of communication yet on our group. I think we're I think it's a good group of people that know how to communicate in a healthy way, because I think all of us know that we don't know everything 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
without a
And
doubt.
those people you're talking about are definitely people. I mean, I've literally met people in my life that would just like shut you down and be like, I know what I know. It's who I am. I'm never changing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
And they're on the
they're
left
scared.
and the right. You have these know-it-alls,
And it goes to that
perfectionists.
hierarchical power thing. They have power in being able to define, I stand by this. And there's so many people I know in the media that claim these spots of representing a certain movement or cause or lifestyle or something, but I feel bad for them because they're usually in the big eye, public eye, and I know that if they ever change, they wouldn't be able to.
They would get ostracized.
They wouldn't be able to do it, and I feel so bad for them because I mean, people always change. You can't say no one day without being criticized or crucified for it.
That's the thing. If you've been putting all this, here's another thing. Is this part of the trap? Let me put this out there. If you've been putting all this time and energy and effort into a cure for whatever it is, and then you one day find out that the cure is something else, and if you use that, it will cure the disease. But you have to give up the 10 years of research you just did.
Yeah.
You have to let go of everything you did.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
It's a tough pill to say, man, I just wasted my time for 10 years, but now here's the real solution. And that's where I feel like we get stuck because no one wants to give up everything they put in. I shouldn't say no one, but a lot of people don't want to get the arguments they've already dug themselves into. But the solution may be outside the box.
Yeah. I think it's also because society, I think I mentioned this in another episode or something, a lot of the decisions we make and the bigger things that happen as we move from the individual to the community are always based in a human lifetime, regardless of the other species or the world itself. Most of the decisions we make and the lifestyles we choose or anything in that kind of realm is always based on what, like 100 years max, maybe 70 maybe, as long as the person lives, you know. It never like supersedes that. We never go beyond that and think, you know, will we actually have resources in 20?
You know, they were talking about this a couple
something,
years ago with the pollution that at the rate climate change was happening, that Earth could be in major trouble
Lisa.
in the 23rd century.
Yeah.
The problem is no one alive now, even a newborn baby, will be, unless some medical thing happens. Even if a newborn baby born today lives to be 120, they will not live to the 23rd century. So no one here has to worry about if we're, you know, that's what's scary about it.
Yeah. It's like, well, it's the mentality of, well, I can't make a change to the world now for the future, so why bother? Which is dangerous.
But I
Exactly.
think that's ego tripping.
Yes.
Right, and that's like, and I think our
Because there will be
technology,
people alive at that time.
but our technology allows us to go through that sort of level of ego tripping because we think we see so far or deep into what's going on because of all the information that's provided. But that's just your ego telling you that you know, like an infinitesimal, or just because you have access to it. It's your ego making you feel like you know it.
And the truth is, everything is situational.
Right. I think everything, like I am like
That's a mere
philosophically an
goodness.
anarchist. So like I believe that like we live in a constant state of chaos, you know, and that if there's any sense of order, it's like, whew, thank goodness for now. But it's gonna go. You know what I mean? So, and I think that like all of everything we know is in a state of chaos. So like what you think, like whatever solves problems today, 5 years, 10 years, 100 years from now, doesn't even solve problems anymore. You know.
I think we're not in chaos at all. I think we're in perfect order. Everything's supposed to be how it is because whoever's at the top took it how it was supposed to be, whether we agree with their principles or not. It is how it's supposed to be. If the world is even meant to last another 200 years, we'll run into that problem. We're assuming that we have everything else in chaos, but I'll tell you when we're going to run into pollution problems. No one knows that. Everyone at the top, they know what they're doing. We're complaining about the climate. But what are we doing, you know, besides reading the data? You know,
Yeah.
we have scientists who can't take action either because all they know how to do is gather the data. We don't have warriors out here. We don't have people who want to topple these people at the top because they don't have the persistence they do. They're stronger. And people are just afraid
They
that
might
we.
die.
Well, you did have Occupy Wall Street. That is something.
That was nothing. That died out, and nothing changed. People are making way more
There's
money
no
now than they
unity.
did back then.
Yeah.
There was no leadership. There was no strength, and people at the top, fucked up or not, they're gonna run you over because they can.
Yeah.
So we can either choose to create our own industries or our own monetary system, whatever it is. But until then, everything will remain in order until the next order comes. But nothing is in chaos. I feel because, I mean, I can tell you what's probably gonna happen tomorrow. How I'm gonna wake up, what time, what I'm gonna eat, what you're probably gonna do, what people do on Sundays rather than Mondays at 9 a.m. versus 6 p.m. I can tell you what traffic is gonna be like in a certain area. Everything is in order. We just choose to make it complicated with chaos. And that's the whole point. They convince us that everything is a big world. We're watching the news, all this shit's going on. They don't care either. Everything's in order how it's supposed to be.
But how is it in order with all these homeless people, these Ku Klux Klan, neo-Nazis? This seems like chaos. I see people
But have you
panning. I
ever,
see
have you
70
ever
homeless
met,
people.
have you
in
ever met a Ku Klux Klan person? Have you ever met a neo-Nazi? I mean, I'm sure you've seen homeless people.
Yeah,
You know.
I've seen a lot of homeless people. I mean, I see
Yeah,
people
but
who are
the
smart.
other things, like, have you actually seen or met them? That's the thing. Like, I believe that a lot of the situations that are promoted at us are semi-real, but not as real
Yes.
as they tell us.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying?
Well, no one reports today in the park. Everyone was happy. It was at 11.
Yeah,
So they don't
because it doesn't
report the good stuff.
Yeah.
If it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah.
But I still see a lot of people who don't know where they're gonna. I knew a lady who I had her stuff in my trunk. She had no idea where she was gonna sleep. She had nowhere to go, and she eventually froze to death outside the Montclair Library. This was years ago. But it's when I see so much poverty, and I see people who were born poor, who no matter how hard they work, they seem to stay in that situation. To me, it seems like chaos. It seems like your success should not be determined on how rich your family was when you were born or how wealthy your parents were. Your parents' success shouldn't be determined on your great-great-grandparents, and theirs shouldn't either. Yet there seems to be this situation where I see people not getting out of the trap. There are people who do. You know, there are entrepreneurs who do. But there's so many who it seems... That's where my politics comes from, is I don't think your fate should be determined by how wealthy you were the day you were born. And I think we should
this
have a
goes back
system
to
that goes
fear.
by your initiative, your hard work, and there is some of that. There's part of our system where that works, but there's another part of the system where you're just stuck in this perpetual, like, loop.
And the problem with that, are you guys familiar with the Nexium scandal thing at all?
Yes,
With,
it's
the
like just going
Hollywood,
on. Yeah.
I mean, it's your typical Hollywood sex trafficking, what you would imagine it to be, right? But I remember seeing some recruitment video where they're like, oh, I was born rich and I'm rich now, and you know, do you ever wonder what makes life worth it? Like, they're so depressed. They feel like they don't know what to do with their life because they have nothing to, like, work for or care about.
Oh, there's a lot of sad rich
So they
people,
join
too.
these weird kind of, like, cult things to give their lives meaning.
Look at Scientology.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
You can follow the money and become miserable, too. That's another trap.
yeah. Oh.
There's a lot of traps out
I'm
there.
still interested in order. Like when you say like people, I agree with everything you said. That's why I'm interested in what you're saying. So like when you say people at the top, right? It's like people who just are running things, seem to be running things.
I mean, people who run themselves.
Right, themselves. I agree. And I think
If I could run myself, I could run anybody.
Yep.
Everyone's on that
That is
pursuit
true.
of self-development. If you can master yourself, you can master anyone, whether it's malicious or not.
yeah.
You could be a fucked up person, master yourself,
Yeah.
and then do major harm. Or you could develop, as everyone should be, develop yourself, and then that's how you start a business. That's how you get this happiness. That's how you start a family. I want to do generational wealth. I didn't get it.
Yeah.
But you think my child is going to be poor? Of course not, because that's my prerogative though. My parents, maybe they didn't know any better. They had no opportunity, whatever it was. People who came from money, kids that I know from New York, I don't get it, but that does not making me, I don't feel bad for myself. You know what I'm saying? That's great. I'm still going to run you over with what I can because I'm just stronger than you. I think a lot of people are afraid to be strong, and it fucks up their whole, you know, they're just really wasting my time when they talk about what's going on in the world without developing themselves or their people. And it's just like, yeah, I can't even be around anymore. Sometimes I don't even like to be around my mother too much because then she starts talking about just regular things, you know. I have important things to do, and if I can't be around people who also either make money or in my industry or advancing themselves, you don't even got to be monetarily, like spiritually, whatever you guys do. But unless we're doing that, I don't want to chill. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't.
I
Yeah,
definitely
totally
agree with
get
this.
yeah, I'm fine with sending a message here and there. Send me an email. I don't need to see a lot of people because that's money. You know, it's $100, you know, an hour or something like that. So if it's not something progressive,
It's not worth the time.
I don't care for it. That's why everything is in order how it should be. When I was kind of lost, I would leech onto everything I could, whether it was a girl, whether it was a friend, or whether it was some drugs, or we're going out Saturday night. Or everyone has their own little vice. Until they start forming self-discipline, maybe their life is in chaos. But until you got discipline, then everything in order, whether I agree with it or not.
Well, but how could you say everything is the way it should be if one day when you topple the guy that's above you, when you beat him, then you're if everything's the way it should be, you're toppling the existing order.
It's like spring goes into summer. I mean, things change. I'll go on top, and someone's gonna have to take me off top. If they're stronger than me, go for it. That's why I welcome competition. I don't fear it. Because if someone's better than me or offers a better product, they should topple me. You know, that's just how it goes.
That's part of the
If
order.
that was,
And it'll drive you to
yeah,
the
if
top.
I was afraid of that, I would have never gone to the top.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You know, but 99% of people are not even coming close to that because they can't even master their own fears. How are they going to get on mine? So if someone does have the strength to beat me, go for it. I think people just need to get punched in the face or something because it's nice.
Yeah.
Reality
You
check.
know, I don't know much about colleges, but I've seen like stuff with like safe spaces. I don't really know what that means. Maybe it's just like a room where no one fights or argues. But I think people should get approached. I think people should get shaken up, whether it's physically, whether it's even just discussion-wise. I cannot agree with certain points and still like people a lot. Or I can agree with someone that I really don't fuck with at all.
It's a good practice.
So yeah, people have different ideas than me. If they're about it, I'd rather be friends with them than people who relate to me. But I think people just don't have that fire. And once people have that fire, then they'll stop complaining. I don't care about the Koch brothers no more, the Rothschilds, the Rockefeller. I can tell you the whole history, but at the end of the hour, nothing's gonna change in the world until we talk about how we're gonna do our history.
Right.
So
Exactly.
everything's in order. Everything's how when it comes, you'll see. Oh wow, it took 20 years to get to that point. You know, Hitler was a great painter too, and when the World War I happened, he was lower than he was, and then boom, rose up 10, 15 years later to become what he was.
Yeah, but look at the disaster he caused, chaos. All those people.
Some people can call it that.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm not saying I agree with what Hitler
Yeah,
did,
no.
but a lot of people would never look at what he was fighting anyway. A lot of people don't even know who Muhammad was when they talk about anti-Islam or whatever they're against. So just, you can educate yourself to the most you can, and I spent a lot of years doing that, learning, studying, but I realized 90% of that shit never really helped me. It's kind of stressed me out more, and it procrastinated everything that I was doing. So we have more access, more opportunity than ever before, but so many of us are getting caught up consuming and not doing nothing. So when I get to the top, they say, damn, what? They say all this negative, you know, whatever he did to get to the top, they think it's bad. And I thought it was bad too, because I came from a place where, you know, capitalism is the devil and all this. But I'm like, damn, these guys are wolves, and they deserve to be at the top. And if I want to get at the top and do good, these are going to be people I'm up against.
See, but I don't think the wolves should be at the top. I think the people trying to make the world a better place should be at the top.
Well, I can.
That's not how the order works.
That's not how it works.
But it's not ordered.
Unfortunately.
But how is it ordered that, okay, the people who are, I'm not saying like what you're doing, I'm saying, well, when you say wolves, what do you mean? You mean determination?
Apex predator, the top.
So then, why should the
Apex
predator be at the
predator?
top of the pyramid? It should be the person that wants to make the world a better place, to improve the minimum wage, to end homelessness, to end
But that's
war,
the
to
concept.
end
That's will
poverty.
to power.
That's
though.
the person who should
But
be at the
someone
top.
who
But those
has
people aren't
that-
strong. They're not
Yeah.
strong. They're weak.
No, they're not. Some of them are strong.
Well, some people might not be able to do debates like this, or not debates, but discussions, and be able
If you
to
want to,
extend
if you
their
want to
ideas.
solve homelessness, if you want to solve poverty, if you want to end war, how are you weak?
They'll
How's
never do that though.
We have great
'Cause
ideas.
that's where you get the most profit
A
from.
gun ain't nothing
is
to
having
shoot it.
homelessness and wars.
Well, I don't think it's something that can happen overnight. I think it's something like you were saying before, the inner work that has to be done. And I didn't used to see it like this, but there is some inner work inside of us spiritually that has to be done for us to harmonize with the universe out there. And sometimes that inner work, if you can do that, it might take years. It pays off 100-fold.
Hi, David.
It pays off
Yeah, that's
100-fold.
almost ego driven,
Tyler
because
was
then
watching.
you feel good
I
about
used to watch
what
behind
you did
you.
and what you felt. Meanwhile, those 10 years it took, those at the top took those 10 years too and did 3 or 4 or 5 times more with that time than we did, because we're not strong collectively as they are.
But the fear can block people
We're
for
afraid.
years
I mean,
if they don't
good more
fix
people
that.
are often afraid.
Yeah.
I think we're more consumers than we are producers, or that's what our current society wants us to be.
Look, we went up against the most powerful landlord lobby in the state. There was only one other town that ever lost rent control. That was Parsippany that got it back, and we rallied the tenants, and we became the second town in the United States to beat the landlord lobby and get rent control. We had to knock on thousands of doors to do it.
Will
See,
to power.
it's the responsibilities that you guys actively took on, I don't think a lot of people, if you give them a responsibility, they'll want to take it unless they're getting a profit for it. Not
Or
just because
mastering
you're going
it.
to help someone
But
else.
if you can
know?
master fear, and I think we're actually agreeing more than you think, because if you can master fear, then that process, in other words, if you do the inner work now, the process where you would, the roadblocks that will stop you in the future for 10 years, 15 years, won't stop you for 10 or 15 years if you can do the inner work where you can master fear. If you don't do the inner work, the 2-3 years of inner work, then when you get to that roadblock, you're going to be stuck there anyway if you don't master fear. And I think
Fear
that
holds
doing
on.
the inner work can get you to pass those blocks that are going to come eventually. You're going to eventually hit them.
And fear is really important, and too many
Yeah.
people think that a perfect life is a life without fear, or a life that's safe, or a life that's like super like everything goes my way and I don't have to deal with any problems, and it's easier life, safer life, is a successful life. It's like no, just like take it on. Like
If you're not afraid of something,
It'll
you're not
change
living.
you.
You're not gonna broaden your horizons. You're not gonna be able to experience new things. Like there's so much anxiety when it comes to meeting new people and broadening your horizons, and that it's derived from fear. And you're going for that dream job, or going on that vacation, or buying a car. It's all fear based. And if you know how to control that fear and know what your goal is in life, then that's what's gonna set you up for success or for happiness.
The most successful people never talk about vacations or getting the dream job or the car. I thought that's what it was. You know, my dream car, for example, was like an S550, like a 2010. It just, when I was growing up, that was the car to have. Now it's like $20,000, you know, used. Very affordable compared to like a new Accord or something, right? So, but once I get it, now I'm like, well, okay. People, oh, now what? But it really, that car means nothing to me, because people who are actually making money are talking about what are we doing 12 months from now with this project, or whatever, who are we working with here, traveling for other reasons, for other recreation. So there's different mindsets, because that's strength for me to look very far ahead and tell you what I'm going to be doing, rather than saying, what are we going to have for lunch at a fancy restaurant because now we got money.
So that's more image, the
Because
second thing.
that's what poor people
Yeah.
do. They say, oh, now we're living good.
those are short-term goals, because
Yes.
that's all they know.
Yep.
It's
just
and
living
there
for
should
now.
be a balance of it, but you know, when people talk about vacation, I don't know what a vacation is really. I've never really been on one. I never really needed it. I don't know what they're relaxing from, because I mean, you can have a job, you know, or work 50, 60 hours a week, but still, what are you relaxing from that's not physical? You're probably just physically exhausted. I would be more paranoid saying, wow, I have no security for my job in 5 or 10 years. If I get fired, that's not for my kids, and I'm basically at square zero. I can say I got experience, but did you really? I mean, that someone else doesn't have much better than you anyway, so it's not like it's a competitive advantage. So I say, if people have a job and they're not using some of that money to invest in some type of business, because they're gonna fail the first time anyway. I've never met someone who was still in their first business doing really well.
Yeah.
But people who don't invest in themselves, I mean, someone's gonna take their money and invest in themselves, you know? So they can spend their $20, but someone like me is gonna get that 20 and turn it into 30 and 40, because that's what money is. You know, it's a tool. You're supposed to multiply it. You keep $20 in a year, it's worth $19.50. So it's just understanding how the money works, and if you don't, that's what the people at the top know. That's the mindset difference. You know, they could be noble people. I consider myself, you know, I would say I'm pretty noble with my causes, but I'm also not afraid of people at the top, and I'm not trying to be like them, but I know that they are almost savages, and I'm gonna have to become the biggest beast I can be just to win it over. And if not, I mean, I'm gonna die trying. But anyone else is kind of just saying these pretty words or not ready to die, when some people are here ready to die, you know. But if someone's not ready to die, I don't want to roll with them. I don't want to go to the top with them unless they really, you know, ready to die.
No,
Everyone's
that is a feeling, and that's like as I get older, I understand it more. You know what I mean? Like it's like, and that is loss of fear. You know, is that feeling, that ready to die feeling is just there is no fear. There are no limits. There is no.
I like what you say
caged
about
animal.
failure. That's very inspiring. And I
Fail
just-
faster.
Yeah, fail
faster.
faster.
Yeah.
Because so many people
Absolutely.
try to find
For
the
sure.
the road with least failure, you might as well just like go through it as many times as you can to get to like the perfect what you're getting towards. And it won't be perfect.
Because then when you eventually do fail and you've taken all the easy steps, then you panic and you don't know what to do next.
Exactly.
You know? So you need to have.
There's a momentum after having gone through your greatest fear.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you fail at it, there's a momentum that comes in. And then some say if you can conquer your greatest fear, then all the other fears become small in comparison.
So guys, Lisa is asking about fulfillment. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Wait.
You're talking about working in the system that currently exists. Yes. So are you talking about fulfillment post the system existing? Well, that's kind of like, what do you guys feel about full automation, that concept?
Well, she's
Good, yeah?
Welcome.
Can we talk about that? Because that kind of has to go with fulfillment, I think.
when she's talking about fulfillment, just in life or within.
I guess in what you do in life.
It's the same thing.
But that's why, so for instance, the concept of full automation, once there's no need to like work a 9 to 5 or like, you know, work to survive monetarily, then how do you establish fulfillment?
If you cannot take things for granted and fall in love with the simple things, you're going to still love the big goal things. This myth that if you focus on the simple, your big goals will drop away. If you can fall in love with everything, that includes everything, including your goals and your drive for your goals. I think you'll actually accomplish them faster, because the bridge. A lot of the problem, I think, what people do is they put things on a pedestal. They put a girl or a guy on a pedestal that they can't reach. They put their future dream career on a pedestal that they can't reach. And when you see the connection and start to love the small things and take nothing for granted, things that you've looked at every day, look at them again, closer, in more detail, then you see the bridge and you realize the goal you have is not on a pedestal. It's part of the infinite energy of the universe, and you'll get there a lot faster. There won't be any more pedestals.
It's actually a shortcut to follow the steps.
Yeah.
Than to ignore the steps and just keep somehow envisioning the pedestal without knowing how to get there.
And if you love the small stuff, you'll be blown away by the big stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that we're talking about here is what they talk about in Freemasonry and all these other secret groups. Manifestation, persistence. I think hard work is not part of the equation. I think everyone works hard. It's not a measure of success. It's not a measure of money. My father would work, tons about it. Everyone's father would, even 100 years ago, they'd work way
really hard.
Worse conditions. It's not a factor of being successful. There is hard work involved, but alone it's not unique.
Not enough.
It's will to
It's more
power.
about what you take out of
It's
it.
the will to power. It's like when you see what you want, you just continue to keep seeing that thing, and then everything else is just the nonsense
That's what
in the
reality
way.
is. We are in a simulation because you choose what you want to do. I can tell you what your tomorrow is about what you did today, because the simulation will roll itself out. The universe and time exists because it's always expanding itself. Time is space. So if we manifest and we see this burning desire, there is no choice but for it to happen. So people who stay poor are because they know that tomorrow they're going to be poor. They know it. They're right.
That's complacency.
Because they believe it. It's burning, so they're right. So if you tell me one thing, you're right too, or whatever it is. But if I tell myself one thing, I know I'm right too.
But the challenge is, I don't think, in my personal opinion, belief is strong enough. I think intuitive knowing is strong enough. Belief, you can have belief and it just not be as strong enough energy as knowing. When you know the energy is so strong, it can move mountains, in my opinion. Because I've seen people believe something's going to happen and not happen.
Yeah.
But then I've seen people I know this is going to happen, and then it somehow always seems to happen when they get to that level.
That's the will. Again, will.
Yeah, I think that's not so much knowledge based. I think knowledge is subjective almost at this point. You can kind of choose what. We could talk about Egypt, for example. I studied it for a long time. I thought it'd be maybe some 9,000 years old. So another historian that I looked up to said 36,000. We could talk about all these what we think is real.
Well, when I say know, I mean
knowledge.
emotionally knowing that in the future, an event that has not yet happened, so not statistic, but you know you're going to be successful is stronger than you believing you're going to be successful. Belief is strong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying belief is on the positive side. It is. But I'm saying knowing is it needs a tremendous amount of energy to move from a to have a knowing of something that has not happened yet. I know this cup is here. Okay, if my belief in my success is as strong as knowing this cup is here, but the belief is in the future hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So how do you get an energy to be so strong that it's as strong as holding something physical that's right in front of you, but it has not yet happened?
Well, I think it's
that's
also
the paradox.
It already
it's
happened.
the application. So again, it's like if I want to be, let's see, if I want to, I don't know, it's. I'm sorry, I have to think my thought for a second and continue talking.
Well, for me, it's like, for me, that's exactly what you need. You're giving yourself the solution, which is all it takes is just believing it, or not believing it, but just saying that it is real, and it becomes real. You know, like I didn't start considering myself a musician until later in life, even though I've been playing guitar the whole time. You know what I mean? And I was actually probably better at guitar before than I am now. But now I'm definitely a musician. I can play in a band. I've played in bands. I've facilitated music for hundreds of people, thousands of people. So like, I'm definitely a musician. I didn't consider that until now. That's only because I started to be like, you know what, I am one now.
Yeah.
After all the millions of all the bullshit that I did. But the truth is, the moment I picked up the guitar and just started to play music was the moment I became a musician. You know, but I had to go through this like nonsense, and then I think that actually did delay me from being a better musician, because I was around other people who were so good, and I believed that they were musicians.
Because then you start portraying that is who you are.
Right.
And you're claiming what you want to be, and that's what autonomy is.
It is
And it's
easier
the
to
law of
believe.
attraction too.
I can know he's a musician. That's the knowledge. You know, I can know that he plays guitar. But if I don't know if he believes it or not. If he believes it, it doesn't matter what I think. He's been a musician before I even came into the picture.
Right.
So it's different between knowing something and really, you know what I mean? No one here knows how hard I believe of the plans that I already have coming, because they already happened. I can tell you about them, but since they haven't happened yet, I can't even really, there's nothing to talk about, right? The language is really something of the past and the present. You can't talk about the future.
Yeah.
The future already happened. The future is the present because it already happened, because it happened yesterday. Today happened because yesterday happened. I know what led up to now. So when we talk about belief versus knowledge, I would have believed the opposite. Knowledge.
But I don't mean
is more important.
statistical knowledge. I mean
Can
in
I-
your heart, a more powerful thing than saying that something that has not happened yet will come to be. That's what
I
I'm
guess
talking
that's
about.
what God is really.
Mm-hmm.
There's a knowledge of worldly things, and then when you talk to someone really religious, they talk about God like they are not.
Best friends.
Yeah, there's no doubt at all, and it's almost inspiring. Really, I cannot agree with them and feel some divine presence. And I think anyone can channel it. They're just really good. They believe it. They focus in on it.
Yeah.
And they apply that same energy to something like climate change or homelessness. They might change the world.
Yeah, I
but
agree.
they're focused on that.
Sometimes the present can distract you from the future present. That hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
I think once you realize the future has already happened, we'll set up everything today, because we know that today is really yesterday for tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's kind of tough to explain, but time itself is not a thing. It's only because everything's expanding. So if you don't do it now, it's like a wave. This wave here is already fucked up because you didn't do it yesterday. And since you're not doing it today, the wave that's going to show up tomorrow is also, it's basically...
You will eventually have to pivot. In other words, if you keep putting things... there's this one guy who keeps telling me he can't move because he can't bring his guns across state lines. He doesn't know how to bring his guns across state lines. He said this in October 2006. He goes, well, I'm going to move in April 2007. April 2007, he's still there. Hadn't moved to Hawaii yet. I'm like, why are you still there? He goes, well, I wasn't able to move my guns across state lines, so I'm going to have to wait until October 2008. For some reason, this guy could only either move in October or April. Then October 2008 comes, he can't, same exact problem, what you're talking about. And dude, he still lives here. He never moved to Hawaii because, like you're saying, like to show that I'm listening to you, because he didn't fix the problem in the present, that wave kept staying the same and it never got fixed. Eventually, you got to pivot. You got to make the change.
And that deals with the law of attraction too. Is that if you continually focus on whether it's a good thing or bad thing, that same thing is going to perpetually happen. If you always think about one goal and staying driven on that, and whatever circumstances arise where it's a small connection that could lead to a big connection, that's your goal is then coming to fruition. So if you're constantly thinking on the negative, like not like that guy. Like, how am I going to move my guns across state lines?
I'll do it in 6 months.
Yeah, I'll do it in 6 months.
The same problem.
Yeah, and it deals with procrastination too. So it's a matter of the willpower and wanting to make a change and do something different, and and it comes back to fear too.
Do you guys remember the energy where like a day, like 12 hours before you're going to go to a nightclub or 12 hours before you're going to go to a great house party, you were psyched?
Oh yeah.
For those 12 hours, you were so psyched, you felt like you were already there. And no matter how far away the party was, or no matter how limited the parking was, or no matter or whether you had to do it within a 24-hour period when the kids' parents were away, and you had to sneak into the house and out of the house and buy the alcohol underage, all the obstacles did not matter because you were so psyched to go to that party. But you were psyched before the party happened.
Yeah.
The energy of opening up the gift sometimes is almost as great as seeing what's under the wrapping paper. So my theory is if we can get back to that energy where even the lead up matters, the main event is still going to blow your mind, but then everything starts to matter more. When we're just waiting for the main event to matter, it's not going to be as great as when the anticipation.
Yeah.
5
I think we
hours
have to
before.
welcome fear a little bit more.
Yeah, I
As
agree.
societal consciousness, I think that we should look forward to the possibility of something having more than one outcome, and that that'll lead us to start thinking of multiple solutions.
This is where school comes in. School
Yeah.
makes you afraid of being wrong.
Yeah.
And this is the beginning of all problems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like
Thank God I didn't
school
finish.
makes
Don't get enough
you
on the
to
test.
feel afraid of failure, and it's like
I'm a teacher, I agree with you.
I'm agreeing with you. It's that it's like once you fear making the wrong.
So I've got an assignment for us. Why don't we see how many times we can fail before we come back here? And whoever fails the most wins.
We'll come back and we'll recap our failures.
I already
Or at
failed.
least just like recapping.
Let's tally it up, man.
Hi, Joe. Sorry, I keep saying hi to everybody.
What time is it?
So let's see. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Okay, so wow, we're 10 to 9.
There you go.
Nice.
So that was a great conversation.
Yeah.
If there's anything you guys want to say in the ending 10 minutes of the thing, whether it's something we talked about already or something new.
Tell us about your park one more time.
Yeah, let's recap these things. that have
Well,
been
what
here.
do you want to know? There's a lot to discuss about it.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah. Where is it at right now?
Yeah.
So right now we're at we have a design that kind of going back to the guy that I've been working on it with. He had contact with this guy who had these granite features. So kind of what we're doing, we're kind of preserving history in our town because our town is pretty historic with Revolutionary War and there's a bunch of homes in our town that had to deal with the Underground Railroad. So for us to incorporate something historic with the skate park is kind of, I wouldn't say necessary, but it just happened to be that way. So in 2013, Nike built a skate park on a barge in the New York Harbor. So they they replicated some famous street spots that are made out of granite that weighed like over 15,000 pounds, put it on this barge, and it was only there temporarily for like 6 months. Demoed the barge, put these granite features in storage. The guy that I'm working on it with knew the guy that was housing it. They were moving the warehouse, so they gave us the call if we wanted it. We had to talk between New York City Parks and Rec and Nike SB if they wanted it. And New York City didn't want it because of the transportation storage costs would have been too much. So we have it for our skate park.
Wow, excellent.
We were, the design that we got was approved this February from Pillar Design, so it incorporates the granite into the design.
Wow.
So, like all the stuff that we have is like the granite itself is saving us around 40 grand. Like as if you were to just replicate those same features and implement it to the park. So we got a bunch of stuff from the structural fill, half donated, rebar, concrete. We have a free shade structure, free fencing. The town gave us $150,000 out of the $382,000 price that our designer gave us. But then when it goes out to bid for construction, it can always be a different price. And so we're in the phase of doing fundraising. So we have a whole bunch of events coming up.
We're gonna share your info in the
that'd be
comments
awesome.
when we post this.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff to share, and but yeah, there's just been a lot of great momentum going on, and so I'm like really excited, really hyped to keep everything positive going forward, make great publicity with people, do hopefully some news articles, and get some big donations, but that's what we need is money for the project. But
Of course.
and build a community around it too. That's the biggest thing to
Yeah.
make it all
Narrative.
inclusive. Yeah.
Because if it's there and no one goes there, what'd you do?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing too that people criticize us and say, "Oh, well, you only have 12 kids signed up for skate lessons." It's like, okay, well, there's no facility for them to come and practice at. We're doing it in a parking
Well,
lot.
it's not bad.
It's not bad. Yeah,
Big
exactly.
event, right?
So
Yeah.
we did it through Parks and Rec, and I'm one of the instructors, along with like 2 other people. But I mean, it's a matter of it's like the same thing in Field of Dreams. It's like you build it, they will come. So if there's a means to an end, and there's something that's going to influence and inspire somebody to do something, so be it. Let it happen. See what it happens. See what comes from it. Nurture it, and let it blossom.
Absolutely.
So
Nice.
And no offense, but like you're so young, so I think
Yeah.
it's really inspiring.
thank
you
you.
know?
Yeah, I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you were
That's
right
good.
there yourself. That's what's amazing about it.
You want to say anything?
Yeah, what's next?
I know,
What are you
it's-
doing that's like coming up for you?
The past 3 or 4 months have been real eye-opening. Been a lot of things that I would never, that I hadn't thought about would come this soon. It's tough to put words to really how I feel right now because everything I thought was before is so irrelevant to where I am right now. It's like I don't forget where I came. I mean, I can't really forget. It's all around me, but slowly, like we were talking about this. Not to disagree with you guys, talking devil's advocate, but things like law of attraction, all this stuff, I literally feel the complete opposite now. I don't even believe in that law anymore because I'm not attracting anything. I'm not. Everything that is already is. So it's like my whole mindset is completely shifted because now shit is starting to make sense to me of how the world is, what I have to do, what people are, not that what they're doing wrong, what they're not doing. The people who fucking up the most are not doing. So even how I respect people and how I see people, I respect people who do a lot of things and fuck up more than those who are really smart and don't do much. I would respect the scholars because they knew more than I didn't growing up, so I try to keep up and catch up to their knowledge. And now I'm at the point where, these almost boneheads who are strong-willed, I'm like, wow, this guy can change the world because he might not know as much, but the way he's getting money, he can just go hire somebody. Just like I can go hire someone right now. So really, everything's on his head right now. Everything is changing. And people who are not right now seeing this or jumping on it right now, they're going to get left behind. Just like if you were into stocks in 08, you'd be extremely rich by now. If that was your avenue, whatever it is, it's just an example of when you see something, you got to jump on it. And those who are not, hopefully in another 5 years they get it. But right now it's a big wave. Whatever it is people want to do. And I really am only even hanging out with people who are willing to die over what they want to do.
Yeah.
If they're not, like I said, not willing to die, man, I don't want to be in their space. I don't want to have much to talk about. Maybe one day I can make some videos and they can see what I have to say, but unless someone's really sticking their neck out, I don't feel bad for them no more. I used to feel bad. I don't feel bad. Homelessness is accomplishable, but we have to talk about yesterday. I grew up around a lot of homeless people too. These people choose a lot of what their lives. It's not easy, but I'm done kind of making excuses for people. Shit is real out here, and people are starting to figure it out now. Hopefully, I know I am. So hopefully everyone does, but they're just gonna get punched in the face, at some point to get it.
I'm gonna punch everyone in the face.
Oh,
That's my
man.
new life goal, is to just go up and punch
And we're gonna
them
be
in the
like,
face.
no, don't hit her.
Speaking of being willing to die, there's going to be an overnight cemetery walk sponsored by the Iron Garden on September 15th. If you'd like to go to the cemetery at night.
I want to check it out.
And we have
Sounds
a
cool,
resident psychic coming in there. I've actually seen some crazy spiritual activity in there, so it's pretty nuts. I've seen some white lights trying to form patterns. I haven't seen a physical pattern, but in some of the photos we've seen stuff appear in the photos that were not there.
Is this what was that post, that Madam X?
Madam
post
X,
to the group?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, there's definitely a post already on the feed.
I have to invite you
Okay, perfect.
personally, but if you talk to me,
Awesome.
I can bring you in. Or someone else from the Iron Garden, another citizen can bring you in. So anybody here is welcome to come in. And then we're doing a tour of a castle, Skylands Castle, on the 9th.
Oh.
Anybody wants to come, it's $7, 1 o'clock. It's a beautiful Gothic castle. What I'd like to say is, though, I'm actually making the rounds spiritually. I hear these people in Skylands Castle, in the Edison House today, they're getting things off their bucket list. And they're older. they're tourists and they want to do things before they, kick the can. But I'm realizing that as the more spiritual I become, for some reason, I'm becoming more present tense. As you said, like the present and the future, kind of, it's all the same kind of stream. And so I'm trying to do things now that I may not be interested in once. If I keep going at this rate, and of course I could plateau at some point, I'm becoming more and more interested in the present. I'm relating more and more with the people 20 years younger than me, than people my own age. And so I'm going to museums now, I'm going to historical places now while I can still appreciate it, because I don't know if in a few years I still will. Because the more spiritual I go down this path, the more I realize that the present moment matters more than the past and the future. The future will be the present when it gets here, and the past, when it counted the most, was the present. And the future, when it will count the most, will be the present.
The past is a tool to use to reflect the now, which is
there's multiple nows.
Yeah.
Multiple nows. So that's what the spiritual journey is amazing, is that you realize that if you can control the present, you can control the future. But don't wait for the future.
Yeah.
And that's my point.
Awesome.
How about you, Chris? Anything? You have a show coming up?
Oh yeah, well I'm loving all this will to power conversation. I love it because I'm also someone who lately I feel somewhat isolated, and I felt like I didn't get along with my generation at all. Cause I'm someone who's always been trying to do things, and a lot of people around me are just like very complacent, or they want to do very shallow things, and it's like and that translated into the story that I was telling you earlier about like getting involved in music, which is like obviously filled with narcissists or whatever, but like now I know that, but anyway, so it's like refreshing to hear that there are other people who feel the same way, like that, who want to like really want to do things, to be around people who want to do things, who like almost don't care how other people feel about them. To me, that's like so punk, that's what got me into music, is that's that whole attitude of like, I'm doing this because I'm doing it, and that's it, So, that's it. That's all. Yeah, I'm happy to feel the power of being around people who are proud of their individualism. It's good. It feels good.
Yeah, I definitely feel there's power in being able to have discussions like this. I don't know why right now, as progressive or as as we move forward, so many people are finding safety in censorship, saying certain conversations shouldn't be had for some reason. I don't know if that's to maintain some sort of power or something in whatever they're thinking, but I'm glad that we have a platform like this to get different people together that have different experiences. I know it's your first time on the show. I don't know if you felt like you took anything away from it.
Oh,
Every time I
absolutely.
finish one of these, I feel like I just ate a full meal and have learned so much, and it's really refreshing. I feel like it's obviously a way to grow, and I hope to get more people involved in this. So